Hi guys, Brain here, and welcome to another commentary video. Today, I wanted to call out a DBD misnomer that exists more specifically in the DBD killer community, kind of the go-to complaint that exists while playing Dead by Daylight, and a suggestion to fix it that kind of just doesn't work because the issue isn't what you think it is, and that being gens. Gens are always the focal point of what killers complain about and what killers worry about, that being me included. I will be like, oh, they're slamming out the gens. I say that a lot, and I think it's just a natural thing because it feels like when a team wants to, they can just kind of like plow out the gens super quickly and just pound them out quickly. So what people say usually in opposition to that is, well, we gotta nerf the gen speeds. And that's wrong for one of two reasons. And the second one being really big, and the first one kind of a little bit more understandable, is the first one is that, well, gens are already super boring. Gens are literally hold a button and then hit spacebar. And now you can even toggle that. So it is literally sometimes, for some people, just click one button and then spacebar, and then spacebar, and then spacebar. It's already one of the more boring aspects of the game. So you want to make that process take even longer. Sorry, my cat. Sorry, Fonz is watching me. Hello. Would you like to come talk about gens? So people like to point that out. It's like, hey, yo, nerf gen speed. But it's already one of the more boring aspects of the game. So why would you make it even worse? Why would you make it even more boring? But the second more important reason is that the gen speeds aren't actually why gens go quick. And you're gonna think like, why? That doesn't make any sense. Why does that make any sense, Fonz? You're like, but like they go quick, so therefore they're quick. Gens aren't quick. Gens are safe. Now let me explain what I mean by that. Have you ever been in a situation where you lock down a 3-gen at the very end of a match, like the survivors plow through the gens, but then they have 3 right next to each other at the end of a match, and you are able to just go from gen to gen to gen, kick it, pop it, do whatever you need to do, keep pushing them off the gens, and the match suddenly becomes very, very rigorous and hard for the survivors to complete because suddenly you can just easily reach every single gen very, very easily, throw them off of it, and what was easy before is now really, really difficult. Let me ask you this question. If gen speeds are truly broken, if gen speeds truly go way too fast, why would a 3-gen matter? Because this is kind of an objective fact, is you want a 3-gen to happen as killer. You want the survivors to lock themselves in a 3-gen because then they can't get the gens done as easy. And the reason that is because you're there. Like, you are able to lock down a very, very small area to focus on the pressure. If gen speeds were just way, way too quick, if gen speeds were just way, way too fast, couldn't they just theoretically, like, split up and just get the gens done, even with you there? If gen speeds were truly broken, why would 3-gens matter? That's the trick question. It wouldn't. If gen speeds were truly broken, it wouldn't matter. So you got to look into that. What is it about the 3-gen situation that makes gens supposedly the most, easy thing and quick and easy button thing to do in the game? How does that suddenly make that situation hard for them? How does that suddenly make the gens not easy? And that's what I said earlier, is that it's because they're no longer safe. If you look at most generators in the game, they are in tiles. They're very rarely in dead zones. They are always next to like a window. They're next to a pallet. They're next to a whole tile. They're always next to something that will help the survivor get away. Furthermore, most of these gens spawn incredibly spread out. So unless you're playing somebody like Blight or a nurse who can actually, go over there and harass you, even if you're like literally across the map on the other side. Think about maps like Temple of Purgation, Eyrie of Crows, Mother's Dwelling, RPD. Think about these really massive maps, even like the non-massive maps, like both the Yamaoka maps, Torment Creek, Thompson House, Blood Lodge. Think about these long maps. Like, it's not easy for a killer without like an impressive movement ability to pressure someone who is across the map doing a generator. Because the gens are so far spread out, there's basically no threat to do a gen most of the time you're doing a generator. So what does that leave the survivor to do besides just sit on the gen and complete it as efficiently as possible? Because they're not under any threat. They're not under any danger. Even if they do show up, like I said, it's likely they're next to a tile. They're next to a breakable wall that they can circumvent, and they force you to break that. They're next to a pallet. There's so much around gens that even if you do show up and try to pressure them, they can just like greed it as long as possible and then get off because they know that they can just use the resources at their disposal to remain safe, I think that's one of the things that a lot of people hate New Haddonfield for both sides. And I think one of the things that's actually really, really nice about that map is while there are some gens that are in the houses next to like 3 window vaults that are very dangerous and very bad for a killer, there are also gens just kind of like out in the street. And that's it. Like, you got to run a long way to go get to a pallet, to go get to a window, to go get to something. And a lot of people cite that as like, well, that's bad game design. It's not. That is like the fundamental problem with generators, is that there's not enough generators like that there's just one that's just kind of like risky to do. That's one of the main issues with the generator problem, is that there are so many that are just like, well, I'm just in the middle of a long wall jungle gym, which is one of the most powerful structures in the game. I can just greed this gen all the way up until the killer actually shows up and still make the window vault and make it a fast vault, and then it just doesn't matter. Like, when you're out there on a gen in the middle of Haddonfield Street, you actually feel scared. You're actually like, man, I gotta really like be careful, because if the killer is coming my way and I don't notice, I am definitely getting hit, because I have to run a considerable amount to get to another resource. So the gens there are scary to do. So like the street gens in Haddonfield are scary to do, and it kind of shows like a glimpse of like, man, if more gens were like that in Dead by Day, I'm not saying all of them, but like just like more generators are more risky and unsafe to do, you wouldn't get this ridiculous amount of gen efficiency, because between the space between the gens and the resources available around the gens, like there's no reason not to greed and be super efficient with generators, because they are just so baby mode to do, and it doesn't require you to practice map awareness, to think about where the killer is, to think, oh man, I got to get off the gen a little bit early. Like, there's no reason to do any of that, because most of that is just kind of like provided for you. So you have no other option really besides to just be greedy and to be efficient. So if you incentivized players to be a little bit more scared, to feel a little bit more of a risk with doing a generator, because there's not just resources around and they're a little bit closer together, like, that would mitigate a lot of like the super duper gen efficiency problems, because then you could have characters like Myers, like Doc, be able to pressure gens because they're closer together without having a specific power to allow them to do so. And if there were less resources around every single gen and have them like basically just be kind of like insulated safe zones, it would be a lot easier for a survivor to, go, maybe I shouldn't greed this gen all the way up to the point where this guy shows up, because it might get me hit, which therefore, in a sense, slows down the gen, but just in a more interactive way that isn't just, well, I guess I just have to hold M1 longer. I don't know. I always get so mad about this one, because I feel like this is like the worst idea, but I feel like it's one of the most commonly held ideas. It's just make the gen speed slower. And I feel like it's just like, you're missing the point. It's not that gens are too quick, it's just that they're too safe. If gens were less safe to do, I guarantee you would see that same drop in speed and efficiency that you want, that you already want, but it'll be more interactive for both sides, because you'll have more chases and they'll have to play more intelligently to avoid getting in chase with you. That encourages more gameplay instead of extending an already boring gameplay style. Well, that's gonna be it for this one today, friends. Do you think that gens are too safe, or do you really think that gen speeds are actually the problem? Let me down in the comments below. But other than that, I will see you tomorrow, friends, and if I don't, I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.